This week on Outdoor Oklahoma, mentoring somebody in the outdoors is a crucial element in ensuring that our outdoor traditions are still around for generations to come. And a great place to start is with small game. Today, one of our own takes the time to pass on the tradition by mentoring a first-time squirrel hunter. From the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation, Outdoor Oklahoma. Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead, and today I'm joined by my good friend and co-worker Michael Bergen. And Michael, the last time you and I were here together, we were actually duck hunting a few months ago. Remember that?
I do, yep.
You know, that was one of Michael's very first duck hunts. And whether you are an expert in everything or you like to experiment around and try a lot of different things when it comes to hunting, everybody's got to start somewhere, right?
That's right.
And you probably remember that Michael is a big squirrel hunter. And so he took that experience of me showing him the ropes on a duck hunt and then decided to go ahead and pass on his knowledge of squirrel hunting to a buddy this last fall. So tell us a little bit about how this hunt unfolded.
Just like you said, I want to share the traditions of hunting with other people, just like you had, shared with me on that duck hunt. And so we decided to take someone hunting who maybe had some exposure to hunting, but was interested in going and learning a little bit more. And so one of the best opportunities that I could think of to introduce someone to hunting was squirrel hunting. And so we got together and we went to the Lexington WMA, and we chose the Lexington WMA because it's so close to the metro area. Hunting is so easy and so simple to get involved in. People don't really realize that they can drive 30 minutes from the metro and be hunting. And to follow that theme, squirrel hunting is also probably one of the easiest and simplest forms of hunting to get involved in. And so that was the perfect thing to go do. All you have to have is a hunting license, and our squirrel season runs from May 15th to January 31st. So generous opportunities. It's very easy to get the proper licensing and just go. And so we went to Lexington WMA and we spent some time still hunting squirrels and just enjoying the outdoors and trying to show someone how easy it is to go hunting. And just even with something like small game that you wouldn't think to go do, because oftentimes what you hear about today when talking about hunting is things like deer hunting, things like bow hunting or turkey hunting, maybe a little harder to get involved in or a little harder to learn. Not difficult by any means, but maybe it's simpler and you can actually showcase the outdoors and talk a little bit more about hunting and fishing on something like a squirrel hunt, where there's not as much emphasis put on being quiet and sitting still and things like that.
We're now actually going to go see how this hunt unfolded down at Lexington WMA with Derek Kern and Michael Bergen.
So is this your first time out at Lexington WMA, Derek?
It is. It's very nice out here. Nice early morning.
Yeah, they say it's actually one of the more popular WMAs just because of how close it is to Oklahoma City and the fact that you can, get out here real quick if you have family or friends that just want to go hunting and see a little bit of the country, even though they're close into the city. So, but these summer mornings are just about what I like for squirrel hunting in this time of year, because we can get out here early and it's not hot yet and we're not too far from home. We can get done in time to go back for lunch.
Yes, sir. Now, Michael, I'm just getting into squirrel hunting. It sounds like you've been doing it for a while. Is this going to be an area that we're probably going to find quite a few squirrels, or?
I think we have as good a chance as any out here at Lexington, just because, we've got a lot of the good cross timber area that's supposed to be good for squirrels. We've got an early morning when they're going to be active. If we can get up here in these trees or one of these draws, I think we have as good a chance of any as finding some squirrels in there.
Now, do squirrels, are they ever carnivorous with any kind of ants or?
Squirrels will eat insects. They might rob a bird's nest of its eggs or something like that. Most of the time, though, if they can, they're going to be eating mainly things like, vegetation. All right, Derek, so there's a couple of nests in this area. If you look up in the treetops, you'll see them. A lot of times they're just big clumps of leaves. And a lot of times that's a squirrel nest. And so you can hunt these areas in the vicinity of them because squirrels will be going to and from. And a lot of times you can catch one that's on the move. So if you want to just take a seat along one of these trees,
All right,
at the base of it, I'm going to walk about 20, 30 feet down this way, and I'll sit down too, and we'll just see if we can't get a few squirrels to come in. We can try using our calls. Just remember all of your safety tips, keeping the barrel pointed in a safe direction, keeping the gun on safety till you're ready to shoot, and we'll see if we can get some squirrels.
sounds good, Michael.
All right. Okay, so we're here at the Lexington Wildlife Management Area, one of the most popular WMAs in Oklahoma, just because it's so close to Oklahoma City. There's a lot of seasons open here. You can do a lot of great hunting here. We're hunting squirrels, and in this spot, down by Dahlgren Lake, if you look at your WMA atlas, you can find it real easily. There's actually a lot of squirrel nests down in here and also some hickory trees. And so this time of year, kind of late in the summer, this is as good a chance to find squirrels here as anywhere else with those nuts on the ground, and we're getting close to the time of year when squirrels are going to be in the hickory trees. If you can find an area like this, you may have a real good chance of finding some squirrels. Derek?
No, I did see two more nests. So I think this would be, this looks like it's probably a pretty populated area, just not out right this second. I thought I heard a little chatter too. I don't know if that was you down here with your call.
Actually, no, you might have heard a real squirrel because I wasn't using the chatter call.
Okay.
This is a good spot. I think what we might try doing is we'll go down here, we'll sit down in a spot, we'll get quiet for a minute. We'll hunt a little closer this time, and after a couple of minutes of it being quiet, we'll start using one of our squirrel calls and see if we can't get anything to come in that way.
All right, sounds good.
Let's just head on up this trail, and we'll go down a little ways, jump into the woods, and we'll sit down for a few minutes.
All right.
Okay.
You know, Michael, we've done a couple other episodes with you squirrel hunting, and you always in the past have had your dogs with you, and you've kind of got a reputation as a pretty good squirrel dog hunter, but you didn't take them on this hunt. So was there a reason for that?
Yeah, there was a reason. You know, in all honesty, hunting with a dog, and ask any dog hunter, bird hunter, squirrel hunter, rabbit hunter, hunting with a dog is just a little bit more complicated. Namely in that, you know, someone who wanted to get into it would first have to have a dog.
Right.
And then you have to get into things like what kind of dog and things like that. But hunting without a dog and just going squirrel hunting is really hunting in its most basic form. When you go squirrel hunting, you have the chance to walk through the woods, talk, laugh, enjoy the company of another person. And you're not doing things like working on training a dog or handling a dog, or even things like you would do when deer hunting, maybe sitting still and being very quiet the whole time. Really, squirrel hunting is like I just said, it's hunting in its very most basic form. And I think that's something we need to get back to. I think that all of us are very passionate about getting kids involved with hunting. And a lot of times in our minds, that's something like deer hunting, because it's, that's one of the most popular forms of hunting, and all of us like to deer hunt. And so we're always excited about getting a kid interested in deer hunting. But if you think about it and think back to when we all got involved in hunting, most of us can say, that we look back and see our dad or granddad or mother or someone taking us squirrel hunting or rabbit hunting or some type of small game hunting that opened the doors to the outdoors for us and showed us the basics, showed us how to handle a gun safely, showed us the wonders of nature. When you're squirrel hunting and you see something off in the distance and you want to go investigate it, you just go over and investigate it. Whereas maybe if you're deer hunting or something like that, you have to stay a little quieter, a little more stay put. And I think that, by getting back to the basics of hunting through something like, squirrel hunting, like we did with Derek, you can get people back to the wonders of the outdoors. And in doing so, they're going to get bit with that passion for the outdoors, and they're going to want to try deer hunting later. You start with something small and build up.
Well, and Derek's got young kids at home too, so you
That's
have
right.
equipped him with the ability now by teaching him how to hunt just by himself without the aid of dogs.
That's right.
You've taught him a skill that now he can then pass on to his kids, and they could go next weekend for that.
That's right. You don't need a dog, and you don't need a expensive lease. You just need a public wildlife management area, a good friend, a shotgun, and a hunting license, and you go.
That's great. Well, we'll be back with more from Lexington Wildlife Management Area right after this week's Outdoor News Report. Michael, I think what's really fascinating about squirrel hunting is that back in the late 1940s, right after World War II, squirrel hunting was the most plentiful and most popular game species to hunt in Oklahoma. And we've actually had reports of at many of our WMAs where on opening day of squirrel season, there would be miles of cars lined up to get into a WMA to hunt squirrels on opening day. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's hunting is a lot different today, than it used to be. Not in the fact that it's, not just as exciting as it used to be, but things like, deer. We didn't have the populations of deer back around, the 40s and the time period that you're talking about. We've come a long way with conservation of things like deer and turkey, but there was a time when I think things like squirrel hunting and other small game were probably the most popular form of hunting you could do in Oklahoma.
Well, the great thing is that we don't have any fewer squirrels today than we did back then. And so the opportunity is still there. And it's kind of a torch that you've been carrying since I've known you to try to get, squirrel hunting and other small game back into the mainstream popularity for hunters. Let's talk a little bit about the methods of take, because there's a lot to choose from when you're squirrel hunting.
That's right. There's several, legal means of take. If you read the regulations, the Oklahoma Hunting Guide, it lists all the legal means. But probably the most popular and the most common, and probably the best choices are usually going to be something like a .22 rifle, or a shotgun, something like a 410 or 20 gauge, or even a 12 gauge.
Sure.
These are all legal means, and it's usually, most people have access to one, and I think those are going to be some of the most common and best choices.
Now, is there a certain time of year that maybe you personally favor one over the other?
Yeah, there can be. Depending on the time of the year, because we can hunt squirrels throughout the year, from May to January, that's almost an entire year's worth of foliage on the trees, things like that. So when the in the springtime, in the early season, when the leaves are covering the trees and maybe there's a lot more vegetation, something like a shotgun may be a little easier. Not because you need to be any less sure of your target, but because maybe you can just take a better shot with a shotgun. Whereas something like in the fall or the wintertime, you can really pinpoint an animal further away. You know, take a longer shot at something with a 22.
Because the leaves are not.
Because the leaves aren't on the trees. Exactly, sure. Exactly. The how much you can see of the woods dictates what's going to be the best means of take, really.
Well, that's good information. Thanks, Michael.
Okay, Derek, this is a good spot to do some still hunting for squirrels because we're kind of in a, we're on this little stretch of clearing here, but on either side of us is real thick vegetation and trees. And so you can sit down in a spot like this. And the reason why it's good is because when squirrels come through, you can actually see them go from the one thick area to the other. So when you're looking for a place to hunt squirrels, look for, you know, patches of thick growth that are broken up by thin spots where a squirrel would have to cross over.
This would kind of be like a squirrel highway.
A squirrel highway would be a good description. They'll have found a squirrel if there's one to be found around here, basically. So.
Anything here? You want to go try somewhere else?
Yeah, I think that it's still early and there's still a good chance we can find something. So let's hop in the truck and make a little drive and go some other place.
All right. Okay, Michael, so now you're saying we're gonna walk kind of this tree line, kind of in the shade, so we can just kind of peek into the woods now. Do you have any kind of squirrel calls or anything that you like to use?
Yeah, I do actually. I've got them with me here. Two kinds right here. This one right here is a squirrel call designed to kind of mimic the sounds of an adult squirrel. Okay. And you can, in fact, if you'll hold my gun here for just a second, you can actually tap this thing and it makes the sound of an adult squirrel. You can mimic things like curiosity, that's a little more inquisitive, and create sounds of curiosity, aggression. These sounds basically kind of are used to give you an idea of where a squirrel is in the woods. Because, you know, we have this long stretch of woods, we might be saying, okay, where do we start? So you could take this call and make kind of a curious sound, and a lot of times a squirrel will respond to you, and you give you an idea of where there might be squirrel activity.
Okay.
Another one here is, this is a distress call, and it is designed to mimic the sounds of a young squirrel in distress. And adults will become very alert to that sound, and a lot of times they'll come investigating. Okay. So if you were to go along the woods and as you're walking, you're stopping every once in a while. If you took a seat for 10 minutes or so and let it get quiet, and then you started blowing on this distress call, squirrels in the area that are curious, or maybe that have young nearby, they may come running to investigate and give you a clear shot. Okay. There's other types of calls. There's a million different kinds on the market. Some are used just with your thumb, some are whistles. But the best way to do it is to actually get one, get good with it, practice, get out there and just see what sounds will attract the squirrels in your area. Okay. So Derek, this time of year, we're looking for things like fruit trees, budding plants, early mast crops like hickory trees that start to put on their mast early in the year. Anything that might produce a flower or a fruit, insects, things like that are what squirrels are going to be eating and feeding on this time of year.
So food sources.
Food sources. Always look for the food source for a squirrel. You can't just pick a row of trees and head on in. You've got to kind of look for food. You've got to look for habitat. You've got to look for shelter. those are the types of things that will help you find them.
You find their grub, you're going to find the squirrels.
Find the grub, you're going to find the squirrels. And again, in an area like this, and at this time of year, you're going to be looking for fruit and flowers and buds and things like that.
Well, you know, Michael, one of the great things about squirrel and most all of our Oklahoma game species is that they make really good table fare as well.
They do. You know, if you take care of the meat after you harvest it, you keep it clean and keep it cool and get it on ice, you know, squirrel meat's an excellent tasting game meat then. You know, it's just like any other thing that you eat in Oklahoma that you hunt. It's excellent, done a number of different ways. You can do a simple Google search on the internet and find more than enough ways to cook a squirrel. Some of the most popular ways are things like fried squirrel, or you've maybe heard of squirrel and dumplings.
Sure.
Some of those popular things like that. But really, you know, there's a large number of recipes that you can substitute the meat out with squirrel meat, and it'll be great.
Well, you know, watching you two at Lexington today brought back memories of my very first hunting experience, which was a squirrel hunt with my dad. And you know, it's been a while since I've been, so maybe I could talk you into reintroducing me to squirrel hunting.
Let's go.
Thanks for joining us today. For Michael Bergen, I'm Todd Craighead, and all the rest of us at your wildlife department. We'd encourage you to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and now on YouTube. We'll see you right here next time on Outdoor Oklahoma.